Good morning and welcome to the 8:15 Daily Operations Weather Brief. Here on the field this morning we have some light lower level cloud cover around 1,500 feet and some upper level cloud cover visible further on the horizon out the window here. Temperatures for today are expected to climb into the upper 80s this afternoon and possibly even break into the 90s, given that we do have a favorable wind direction being largely out of the southwest today. And as for winds, we are currently seeing light winds, although we do anticipate a progressive uptick throughout the day, with gusts sitting in the mid to upper teens. And as for our precipitation chances for today, our odds of staying dry are much better in comparison to previous days, although a typical pop-up afternoon shower cannot be fully ruled out. And although it should be a rather nice day and somewhat breezy, we will see the chance that our heat indices approach, if not exceed, the 100-degree mark today. So it will be a hot one, but hopefully those breezes will work to counteract that discomfort. Now taking a look at our most recent surface analysis chart, we do have high pressure that continues to prevail off of our southeast coast today through Thursday, bringing increasingly hot and humid conditions, with our heat indices, like I had mentioned, likely climbing over 100 degrees by Thursday and potentially requiring those heat advisories to be issued. And as such, we do have some upper-level ridging that is continuing to build into the mid-Atlantic region following an offshore shortwave that moved through and brought heavy rain on Sunday and Monday to portions of the state. And despite our precipitable water values remaining above 2 inches for today, meaning there is certainly a surplus of moisture in the atmosphere, showers and thunderstorm coverage should be decreased compared to yesterday, although again, an isolated shower could still be possible. On Thursday, we will see some upper-level westerly flow aloft with warmer temperatures and continued high humidity, and then a shortwave trough across the northern mid-Atlantic Thursday afternoon could trigger some isolated storms before we see a more substantial trough and cold front approach Friday. Now that front, once it gets to our area, will interact with our moisture-rich environment and likely increase shower and thunderstorm coverage while also maintaining our hot and humid conditions. But that is what we are looking at for the next 2 days. And that brings us to our current weather conditions as of this morning. We have scattered cloud cover at 1,500 feet and a scattered layer at 25,000 feet with unrestricted visibility. Winds are currently at a heading of 210 degrees at about 6 knots, and our temperature currently sits at 79 degrees with a relative humidity value of 93, and that is dropping. Now, taking a look at this morning's satellite imagery, we do see some continued convection off the east coast here, although that has moved well out of our way. And we can see clearing skies behind, likely due to the influence that this high pressure is exerting on the area. However, once that daytime filter comes through, we can start to see those light blues, which are indicative of our low-level cloud cover sitting at 1,500 feet, and here and around there, some places a little higher and lower. But overall, largely clearing skies, and compared to previous days' coverage being much lower. Now, looking at our most recent model run for this morning, this is a high-resolution run of the HRRR running on a 24-hour loop, and we see that the HRRR has us largely dry today with only a couple specks of green popping up over our area, and that's indicative of maybe some afternoon pop-up convection. Shouldn't be too long-lived and should either die out rather quickly or move out rather swiftly. Now, the only thing to make note of besides overall dry conditions is that little complex that we see moving through Delaware towards the end of the loop. Here it comes, and that is just a group of storms that kind of coalesces later on in the afternoon and early morning hours of tomorrow. So if that line is realized to be a little further south, we may see a little bit of a glancing blow, but overall models do have us dry for today. And that brings us to our 24-hour risk chart here, in which we do have a little bit of color on the board, pretty indicative of a standard typical shore summer day, where we do have our rain chances in the afternoon and early evening, and we also have those heat indices approaching the 100-degree mark, kind of sitting right around that 100-degree threshold. And come early tomorrow morning, we will see our winds slightly uptick, which is why we have some color on the far right side of the board here, in which those winds start to reach advisory criteria. But throughout much of the day, our gusts should sit in the mid-teens. Cloud coverage for today and into tomorrow morning should remain rather low, with scattered conditions expected. However, during times of any pop-up convection, we could see that cloud cover jump up a little bit, maybe be a little bit more broken in nature. But overall, not too bad of a day, just pretty standard, typical summer day, in which we have some pretty warm temperatures. And that brings us to our short-term weather risk chart here. Thursday, we can anticipate mostly cloudy conditions, turning mostly sunny throughout the day, with breezy conditions also tied to that time frame, with a high of 82. Thursday night, partly cloudy and breezy, and a low of 81, except those winds should be starting to taper out a little bit. And then Friday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a shower or a thunderstorm, and a high of 89. And that is going to conclude our 8:15 daily weather operations brief. I'll be back at 10 o'clock with the 7-day outlook.